Aloha mai kako. We're just gonna wait 1 or 2 more minutes as people are rolling in, but please take some time to introduce yourself. You can start with who are you? So who you? Who is your mountain? Who are your waters? What moku or island that you are doing? Mahalo. Hi. Hi. Velina mai ke aloha iaka ko apau. Welcome to part 2, session 2 of our, what is this one called? Ola Ka Huakaʻihele o Hiʻiaka. Aloha mai ka ko, o wau no o Kauila nui ma ke haʻikalani, Kealiʻikanakaʻoleohaililani, no ka moku o hilo mai au, ma ka ahupuaʻa o Waiākea, ma ka moku puni o Hawai, o mauna Awākea kuʻu piko, o mauna loa kuʻu iewe o nā wai, nā Waiākea kuʻu koko. Aloha mai kākou. Welcome to part 2 of our Ola Ka Huakaʻihele series. So, my name is Kauila Nui Makehaikalani Kealiʻikanakaʻoleohaililani. I am from the rainy district of Hilo in the Ahupuaʻa of Waiākea on the island of Hawaii or Moku o Keawe. Mauna Kea is my piko. Mauna Loa is my ieve that connects me to the aina, that connects me to my space. And the waters of Waiākea are my lifeblood. Awesome. Next. So if you are new here, we usually go through, we have a protocol to follow. So we're going to follow it. But then if you are a returning participant, no worry, you guys know this part. So,
Trina Namio.
Join the meeting.
Hi, Trina. Hoi ka o'opu ai lehua I ka mapuna puna. The lehua eating gobi returns to the spring, said of one who has gone back to the source. The Mapuna Lab is a place of respite for those experiencing colonial trauma. Our work is now-centered and focused on the health, healing, and the longevity of overall well-being of aloha. Guided by the Ohia as our kumu, like our kupuna, we work in reciprocity and partnership in healing the chronic and existential pain of historical and intergenerational traumas with our brothers and sisters of the Moana Nui Akea. Acknowledging the land as our community's health as water cycles resilience. The lab looks to the cloud-catching, truth-telling Ohia Lehua for ways to ho'i kawai to remove seen and unseen emotional blockages to restore water stolen by that trauma. Aimed at creating safe spaces for co-learning, the Mapuna convenes at all those who believe that when Indigenous leadership is uplifted, wellness is accessible to all. So aloha. So today's learning objectives, it all applies, but this is the one we're going to focus on. So participants will, one, engage in the Ahupuaʻa Model for the Ohana Center of Excellence, introduced by Lilinoe Kauahikaua of Papa'ololokahi, looking at the impacts of colonization and implementing cultural intervention at various places, effectively providing healing and well-being of self and community. Yes, participants will also engage in the Ka'au framework, which include the Hua, Ha'alele, Huakaʻi, Hoʻina, Ha'ina, implemented by the University of Hawaii through the Hawaii Papaʻokeao Initiative by Dr. Taupori Tangaro, utilizing Hawaii traditional myth and culture as a framework to transform the experiences and the culture of healthcare professionals and providers. So today, participants will engage in a subtle and evolutionary shift to inspiring Hawaii health and mental wellness leadership with a professional and personal experience with the guidance of Kekuhi Kealiʻikanakaʻoleohaililani through the Hawaii life ways of Lonoa Honua. And finally, participants will be invited to experience and engage in multidisciplinary and multidimensional processes for sequencing huakai. Okay, awesome. That's what you guys are gonna do. So the Vehena protocol happened in session 1. So technically, it's all one session. Okay. Next, we're going to be stepping into the consent to deepen, where our guest speaker will share some mana'o beyond our consent. Then you'll be introduced into the impacts of colonization on the Ahupuaʻa Conceptualization by Papa'ololokahi by Lilinoe Kauahikaua. We will then look at the SAMHSA recovery model and the 12 core functions of the substance abuse counselor. And then after all of that, we're going to take a little itty bitty break, maybe like 2-3 minutes, grab water, use the lua, I don't know, however you need to break. And then what we're going to do is we're going to revisit the multimedia pieces of my ka'au. So I cannot ask you to understand what the ka'au framework looks like or where you are in your ka'au if I don't share mine. So we're going to look into that. And then we're going to reintroduce Hiʻiakaikapoliopele for those of you who weren't here in session 1. That should be a little fun. And then reintroduce the ka'au framework for those of us who weren't at session 1. So just a little recap. Then we're going to look into what is the huakaʻi, or who and what is the hiʻiaka. And then we're going to invite our guest speaker to share her mana'o and a lens on the huakaʻihele through a practitioner and Hawaii lens by Kekuhi Kealiʻikanakaʻoleohaililani. And then finally, to wrap up, we will do our hoʻina and ha'ina of my ka'au through my last multimedia piece. Okay, Raj. So next, consent to deepen. What does that mean, consent to deepen? E nakupukupu o nakupuna, e malama kamapuna. It is through our ancestral memories we acknowledge our systems of support that surround us, bear witness to our own resilience so that we may participate in this ingenuous process, healing and empathy. What does that mean? What do you think that means, Kekuhi Kealiʻikanakaʻole?
Aloha kako. So without taking too much energy from the consent to deepen, which is super important, we also, and I'm not speaking on behalf of Mapuna Labs or Papa'ololokahi, but there is a continuum in the Hawaii story, in the Hawaii ka'au, like the word mo'o olelo or mo'o puna or mo'o ku'auhau. And in the Hawaii continuum, we cannot, it would be almost foreign of us to not acknowledge our ohana, and I mean that in every sense of the word, acknowledge our ohana, whether they're blood related to you or just related to you because we're humanity, or related to us because we live in the same pai'aina. That in the continuum of Hawaii lifeways and Hawaii story, it would, like I said, it wouldn't be our best face if we didn't turn to acknowledge the our ohana in Maui Nui, as we would if we were journeying thousands of years ago on our own canoes. So deep breath in, closing the eyes if you don't mind, and relaxing the fingers and relaxing the toes. One more deep breath in, breathing in through the nose. Lana ke air, holding that air inside your chest. And breathing slowly out. Again, breathing in. Na au makua mai kalahi kia kalakau, mai ka ho'oku Hiʻiaka halawai. Release. Breathing in. Na au makua ia kahina kua ia kahina alo ia ka'akau I kalani. Hold the breath. Release that. O ki hai kalani, oe kalani, nunului kalani, kaholoi kalani. Breathing in. Holding the breath in the chest. Eia ka pula pula o ko o na ohana o maha Maui nui. Mai yuka I kai, mai ka akaua I ka hiki, mai ka akaua ka hema, mai ka hikina I komohana. Release the breath. E malama o ko ia mako. E ulu I kalani, e ulu I ka honua, e ulu I ka pai aino Hawaii. Breathing in. Hold the breath. E ho mai ka ike. And release the breath slowly. E ho mai ka ikaika, e ho mai ke akamai, e ho mai ka maupopopono, e ho mai ka ike pāpālua, e ho mai ka mana. And your own personal prayer. And then to close, 2 claps. And on your own side, Eola. Eola. Mahalo Kauila.
Mahalo yaʻoe. Thank you. Okay, well, we go vehena again. Mahalo for that. Kidding. Carrying on. Mahalo yaʻakakuapau for being here. So at this time, I would like to introduce Papa Ololo Kahis and the AANHPI Ohana Center of Excellence. For those of us who have seen this, you good. For those of us who hasn't, yay. So then, let me go look for her. Where you at? There, her, Lilinoe. I what? We will try again.
Wa mai ole o ka aina mali. Ahena ni vale no I ka makaloha. Hiʻiakahile oe. E pane mai hoʻila. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. Oh my God, cool. Mahalo nui. I was not able to join you folks today in person. But mahalo to all of you for joining us. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my So I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Lilinoe Kauahikaua. O mauna wa kia mauna o wailuku pu'uwai no pi'ihonua mai au. And so I am from Hawaii Island in the area of Pi'ihonua, and I connect to the sources of the Wailuku River and Mauna Kea as the sources that feed me and keep me connected throughout my life's journey. The reason why I wanted to share with you today is first, of course, to share my truest aloha with our ohana on Maui. Just sending so much aloha and support and all of the things to our ohana. I am here today to represent the Ohana Center of Excellence as a partner with Mapuna Lab in this workshop series. A little bit about the Ohana Center of Excellence. We are an online space that provides empowerment, education, and support for those who are seeking behavioral health, healthcare, and those who are experiencing issues regarding mental health and substance use. We center ourselves with our holistic and more cultural approaches, and the populations that we serve specifically are Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islander communities. And we serve these communities not only in Hawaii, but also across the continent and the US affiliated Pacific Islands. And so we are here as a partner with Mapuna Lab today. What we do, we have created an online resource directory so folks can search by culture, by region, what types of services they're looking for. We're really, one of our main focuses are on improving culturally responsive care for our populations. We provide in-language learning opportunities, both live translations, pre-recorded translations, pre-recorded interpretations, live interpretations. All of our public-facing tools are translated into the many languages that we support within our communities. We will soon have a data feature, downloadable resources, a community corner that we can share stories amongst one another, and toolkits as well that will accompany all of our webinar resources. You can visit our website down at the bottom or follow us on social media. So the other organization that I represent here today is Papulalokahi. We're the Native Hawaiian Health Board. I serve as a program coordinator focusing on substance use and mental health issues within the Native Hawaiian community. We got our mandate from the Native Hawaiian Healthcare Improvement Act, which was originally passed by Congress back in the 80s. And our hope is to raise the health status of Native Hawaiians to the highest possible level. We oversee the 5 Native Hawaiian healthcare systems. There's one on each island, as you see here. We also house the Native Hawaiian Health Scholarship Program and the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander 3R COVID response teams. So before I kind of dig into the Ahupuaʻa framework, which is what I'm here to talk to you about, I want to share a little bit of mana'o about the Native Hawaiian worldview. So in order to understand why it's important, why the Ahupuaʻa model makes sense to us, why all Aina-based models make sense to us, you need to understand the way that we have our relationships with the land. So as Kanaka, we understand that our relationships, in order to achieve our maliola, in order to be balanced and achieve optimal health, we need to maintain our reciprocal relationships with our spirituality and with the Aina, the land. So you'll see there on the top on the first triangle, we'll see that this is a triangle, right? It has equal sides. That is in order to represent that our reciprocal relations. It doesn't only go one way, right? Kanaka don't only serve the land, but the land also gives to us, right? We have that reciprocal give and give kind of a relationship. And in order to be healthy, we have to maintain those equal parts of those relationships. If it starts to become unbalanced, then our triangle is going to get all wonky, right? But that really is what represents the unbalanced or that unhealthiness in our everyday. can be looked at through this kind of a lens, right? What is it that, which relationship of ours is getting unbalanced, right? So that's kind of where we're looking at. So it requires this balance between the mind, the body, and the spirit, or the individual, the family, or the community, along with the environment, our land, and our spirituality. With Western influence and colonization created these imbalances in our families, in our relationships, shifted our paradigms, then compounded with cultural, historical, and intergenerational traumas and other health disparities, have impacted each subsequent generation. So the way that we see this manifest in our people today are higher rates of Native Hawaiians in substance treatment. And this is just Native Hawaiians that are actually in treatment, right? So this doesn't even account for our Kanaka that do not seek treatment. You can see here that the 20% line represents the percentage of Native Hawaiians within Hawaii right now. The bars up top show the percentage of Kanaka that are in treatment services. So as you can see, it's very overrepresentative over about 2 decades and beyond. We also see this type of overrepresentation in many other mental health areas, right? Depression, suicide. We have higher and disproportionate rates of those as well. We understand that data and graphs and all those things, while they're great to know, they only really tell us part of the story. They only tell us that what's wrong, really. We look to other sources to help to guide us, our kupuna, our ike kupuna, our ancestral knowledge, and that which is passed down to us. So I have some quotes there on the screen from a report that was done in 2007, and this was kind of a collection of work done by a lot of different Native Hawaiian organizations and kupuna that had been engaging in these cultural approaches in substance use and mental health for many, many decades. They really paved the way for us, in the years prior to this report, and they continue to lend their ike to us as we move forward. So we use this as a roadmap really for our process and how we engage in this work within our communities. So I want to kind of read some of the quotes to you. The Inoa, Imikio the Mau, was a name given by Kulupupuna Auntie Malia Kraber, and it translates to perpetuate a life of health and healing. So I'm just going to read some of the quotes to you. So in order for Native Hawaiians to heal and recover from substance use and mental health issues, we need a sense of place, which provides anchors for our values and balance in life. We need immediate access to and availability of a safe, healthy environment, which includes all the natural elements such as kai, saltwater, vai, freshwater, ea, air, aina, land, and all of the animate and inanimate aspects of nature, which make up this physical environment. To heal, we need more than just Western practices, for those practices are not what's going to make our people well. The motivation comes from caring for our sources, the aina, and the reward is our own wellness, which we perpetuate in all our relationships through caring for the aina. We need the resiliency and protection our culture provides in order to prevent relapse and redefine ourselves away from pathological diagnosis. We need a sense of self retrieved from our past through our ancestors, present through purpose, and future through our descendants. We need our language, traditions, and ceremonies which provide ways to reconnect to our spirituality and to the concept of our source. We need our land and our other natural resources, our language, our aumakua, our deified ancestors, our kupuna, our respected elders, and ohana, our family, and our roles as makua, parents, kamali'i, children, and as kanaka, as humans. We need not become Western to heal. And you can scan that QR code if you want to download the rest of the report. It was written out of a co-occurring COSIG grant, actually. And it really provides this incredible roadmap, really, for the work that we continue to do today. So we mahalo our kupuna for sharing their ike with us. So as I dig into the Ahupuaʻa model, I want to share that this model really provides this metaphorical and living model to view our ongoing impacts of colonization and historical trauma, and many other risk factors and that impact that it has on Native people. It also provides a resonant model of a Native system that's grounded in, again, that reciprocal relationship, right, that we talked about earlier, of kanaka to aina and spirituality, in order for us to achieve our collective healing, or our mauliola. So Ahupuaʻa is a living, breathing example of a thriving, healthy Native system that's all connected through vai, which flows then through every interconnected system. And if the water is not healthy, like maybe it's contaminated by pollutants or something like that, right? Like that's how we can envision it in our lives. If maybe it's contaminated by pollutants, then we're not healthy, because that water is flowing through all of our interconnected systems of the Ahupuaʻa, and everything then becomes unbalanced and unhealthy. This model was inspired by the Healing Forest model from White Bison, which is an indigenous organization, serves our American Indian Ohana across the continental US. And then it was also inspired by Dr. Keawe Koholopula's social and cultural determinants of health, which you'll see pictured on the bottom there. You also see those social and cultural determinants in the ua, in the rain, to show the cyclical transmission of those. And our artist for this artwork is Kimo Apaka, who is absolutely amazing. He has an artist page, go look him up. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so if you look at on the left side of the image, you can see our social and cultural determinants of health, our risk factors and our protective factors, our protective and resiliency factors are imagined in the ua, in the rain. And that's to show their cyclical transmission, like the water cycle, right? So the water cycle falls down to the aina, it starts to penetrate the land, gets into the soil, it gets into the rivers, right? And it starts to flow down the rivers. It impacts all of our lo'i, our wetland kalo terraces. It goes on, it impacts all the mala, all of our gardens that are getting water from these water sources. It keeps going down, it goes down into the lokui'a, right? And it impacts that, and then into the ocean where it's evaporated back up, goes back up into the lani, into the sky, and then falls down again as the ua. So how does this impact? We can look at the risk factors, which are on the left side there: historical, cultural, intergenerational traumas, discrimination and racial traumas, criminalization of the Native identity, family history of substance use, incarceration, loss of traditional healing practices. These are the types of things that we look at for risk factors. And when they start to impact our aina, our land, our family, right? We look at our aina. Our aina is our ohana, right? This is our ohana. So as this ua is falling down into the aina, it's creating these layers of anger, of fear, and guilt and shame. It's eha, right? As those risk factors come down, it creates eha. That's what we're dealing with. So then as it continues to flow down, as that soil starts to flow, and we look at the impact of that soil, like we can look into our lo'i, right? That soil and water. So how they're mixing in that. We look at our kalo, which then is going to puka up out of this unhealthy soil that contains all of this eha, this anger, this fear, this guilt and shame. That's where the next generation of our people are coming out of. That is the land that they're grown in, right? So what we see is that as they grow, as they puka up, they carry this eha, right? We carry this eha down inside of us. And sometimes we don't even know it's there. And a lot of times we do know it's there, but sometimes we don't even know it's there too. And it can start to bubble to the surface later, right? It starts to bubble, and then on the surface, what the manifest or the way that we cope with this eha, you know, our substance use, our violence, these types of things are the surface manifesting symptoms of the much deeper trauma that is underneath the surface. That is what, you know, we are wanting to look at. So as our next generation pukas out of this soil, this is, you know, the surface manifesting symptoms. So in order to clean our vai, right? So if our vai is contaminated, we need to clean it. We also want to remember that our protective and our resiliency factors are passed down just like our risk factors are. So just like we have intergenerational trauma, we also have intergenerational strength, intergenerational cultural knowledge, right? The cultural strengths and knowledge that our ancestors have passed down throughout generations are what keeps us healthy and safe and grounded and strong and, you know, thriving. So this is kind of the reason why we depicted both of these risk factors and protective factors within the same ahupuaʻa, because it cycles similarly, right? All of these things: community environment, ohana relationships, cultural knowledge, Aina cultural practices, moʻoku auhau, our genealogy, our intergenerational wisdom, as they start to fall down and penetrate the soil, they create these layers of lokahi, balance, maliola, healing, mana, spiritual energy, and pilina, connection. So that is the soil that keeps us, our generations thriving, our kanaka thriving. So as we see our kalo that puka out of that soil, they're happy and healthy kalo. They're growing strong, right? So as we look at this system, we really want to remember, okay, we need to do is clean our vibe. And, you know, while they're coming into our systems in the same way, we carry these in the same way, our risk factors and our protective factors. A lot of times the risk factors are a lot louder than our protective factors, right? So when we say klinovai, we mean is we start to clean out some of these risk factors to create more space for our protective and resiliency factors. Not only do we clean the vai to create more space, but we also strengthen the connections for folks to connect to those protective and resiliency factors. If cultural practice keeps you healthy, we need to connect to our cultural practices, right? So that's kind of one of the examples that this model can be made of. There are several different layers to this of, you know, kind of big picture, more small kind, you know, macro and micro kind of ways to kind of interpret this. And what I love about it is that everyone can get something different, and it has a lot of applicability to us that connect to the Aina in this way. Aina is this living, breathing example of the thriving, healthy native system. Aina does not need us, right? She knows how to take care of herself, but there's a lot that we can learn from the Aina. So I'm going to have Mapuna Lab share some resources in the chat with you. If you want to read more about this model, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We do trainings. We provided this in our ADAD state plan chapter on native finds and substance use, proposing it as a way to look at a different system of care. What would it look like if our system of care was actually designed to uplift cultural practices instead of having to figure out how we can stuff our cultural practices into a box in order to, you know, check a box or get funding, you know, and trying to tailor ourselves to what the funding needs. What happens if the system itself was already there, right? And there to design to hold, to malama, to steward all of our cultural practices, because we know that to be what our people need. So mahalo, and I will pass it off to, and I'm really, again, Huikalamai for not being able to attend live today, but I'm very excited for everyone to share the space with Auntie Kekuhi and Auntie Lahela, and just I know this is gonna be so vai. So mahalo nui, ahuiho.
Yes, sir. And mahalo Lilinoe. So, just a quick framework with the Ahupuaʻa framework overview. So these are the frameworks that we're anchoring into the Ahupuaʻa model. So you have SAMHSA's working definition of recovery, and you can see all their definitions here. Specifically today with session 1 and session now, I would say we're probably focusing more on the holistic and cultural lenses, through the holistic and cultural lenses, but throughout this process, throughout the foundational ka'au process, through the huakaʻihele o Hiʻiaka process, you're gonna find all of these. So, Raja. And out of the core functions for the substance abuse counselor, I felt that the consultation with other professionals in regards to client treatment and services is the most applicable of functions to this process. I'm sure we can all find every other one, but that is I guess you would say, the most obvious. Okay, that was a lot of information, no? So let's take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of a mini break. Go grab water, use bathroom, whatever you gotta do. Stretch, take a breather. And I gonna play some lo-fi soul music, and we be back in like 3 minutes. Hikino? I'll see you in 3. And aloha. Welcome back. Welcome back. That was a couple of minutes. So I hope, and even if you didn't get a chance to catch the first session with Auntie Lahela, and Auntie Lahela's here somewhere, I think. Yeah, she's around. But it was such a great session. Why this is why this series has been broken up into 2 parts is because I'm taking you through my own ka'au through our multimedia pieces. And we're going to begin right where we left off, which is smack dab in the middle, the Huakaʻi. Then we're going to do some quick revisiting of Hiʻiakaikapoliopele. We're going to review the ka'au methods and all 5 H's of that cycle real fast now. And then we're going to go into a little bit of the who Hiʻiaka is. Actually, yeah, maybe no need to. But we'll see. Anyway, here is our Huakaʻi. Okay. Mahalo. So real fast, just to remind everybody, and just give, if you weren't here in the first part, just to give a little intro into why Hiʻiakaikapoliopele. The myth of Pele and Hiʻiaka is the epicenter of creation, has become an epicenter of the creation myths of Hawaii. This saga focuses on Pele and her family's migration to Hawaii, her prime of expansion and creation. Pele dreams of love and requests of her youngest sister, Hiʻiakaikapoliopele, to journey to Kauaʻi to fetch her lover. On this Huakaʻihele, see what I did there, or journey, Hiʻiaka discovers companionship. She battles and slays moʻos, dragons, or dragons. She falls in love and ultimately wages war against her older sister Pele, on whom she was requested, discovering her highest potential and ascending through her fully realized goddess self throughout this transformative process. Okay. Who is Hiʻiaka? So we're going to drop this link real fast inside of the chat. We're going to drop them, go. And then what I'm going to ask you guys for a minute of participation is to just input who you think or what is Hiʻiaka to you. Hiki, no? Okay. Ready? Mark it, ready. Oh. I'm not sure what that one is. Oh, there we go. Fresh, healer, healing, cherished, sister, creatress. Oh, I see. Transformation, sister. She's a creator. She is growth. She's the ko'olau pokos. Yes. She is Pele's youngest sister. Yes. She is brave. She is goddess. She is wholeness. That's a good one. I didn't hear that one yet. She is restoration. She is ohi'a. She is nahe nahe. She is love. She is kamea aloha. She is relationship. She is bravery. She is flower. Yes. She is regeneration. She is fierce. She is a hero or heroine or shiro. She is fern. She is fresh. I love it. She is rebirth. Mahalo nui loa. Thank you so much. So the fun thing about this activity is you are all correct. In the in the last session we had, she is my daddy. That one was kind of funny. I didn't know how it applied, but if that's how Hiʻiaka speaks to you, then go ahead. You are all correct. She is transformation. She is bravery. She is the ohi'a. She is the goddess. She is the forest. She is healing. She is regeneration. So mahalo ya oko for participating in that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to visit the ka'au. So what does the ka'au of Hiʻiaka have to do with our work right now? Let me tell you. So what a ka'au is, the translation for ka'au is myth. And why are we looking at myth? So in the concept of a monomyth, which is a singular or a one myth, refers to the theory that sees all mythic narratives as a variation of one great story. Raj? The theory is based on the observation that a common pattern exists beneath the narrative elements of most great myths, regardless of their origin or time of creation. So when we're talking about ka'au, we're not just talking about the one ka'au. We're talking about all the ka'au. The ka'au of Hiʻiaka, the ka'au of Pele, the ka'au of Mauna Awakia, the ka'au of the you. Okay? And where does these ka'aus begin? Let's find out. So no, wrong button. Number one, the hua, the catalyst, the beginning, the whys, the why, the this, the why, the that. The why are we going on this journey? The why are we going through this webinar talking about goddesses and regeneration and the framework of this foundational piece of ka'au? Okay, let's go. The second part of a ka'au framework is the ha'alele. So in the myth, from the catalyst of the myth in the beginning of the myth, next is the departure, which is embodying the flight from the community. So in Hiʻiaka's case, from her being asked to leave Hawaii to go on this journey to fetch her sister's lover. So the why is she going to go? Is that her purpose? Why is she leaving? And then moving on to her departure from the space. So embodying that the leaving, the nest energy. Next comes the huakaʻi. And the fun thing about the huakaʻi is that there can be many ka'au cycles that happen within this one sector or one section or segment of the ka'au framework. So you can have your overall ka'au going from the hua all the way to the ho'ina and back to your hua. But in the huakaʻi portion, actually in a lot of them, but mostly in the huakaʻi, there can be several mini ka'aus that happen within. So it's the sequence of lives and deaths. So the example I gave in the first presentation was, when I go to sleep tonight, the Kauila from yesterday has passed. When I awake tomorrow, the life of Kauila tomorrow, when I wake up, that is a new life and a new day of Kauila. Okay? Raja, next. We're kind of moving fast because we gotta move on. The ho'ina, the return. So after all of the ha'alele, from the catalyst to the asking the questions why the journey, to the departure, into the journeys, into the many lives and deaths throughout, is the return. Okay? The return means, or another word for the ho'ina, or another tag would be the reintegration back into community. Where is my space, or where is my function or purpose in the community? Not necessarily where, it can even be what. So her journey from the starting to the departure, in the journey with the mini journeys, then coming back to Hawaii with Lohi'au. What is that reintegration look like back into her family? And lastly, this is kind of a more newly developed segment of the ka'au framework, but totally necessary, which is the ha'ina, the refrain, how to apply all of the stages of the ka'au framework back into community. So what has she learned, or what has she gained, or what skill sets has made her into this person? Because when she would go sleep one day, she never wake up the same person. When she left Hawaii the first time, she didn't go back a couple times actually, but when she left the first time and she came all the way back around, she wasn't the same Hiʻiaka she left us. Alrighty? Okay, let's play another game. So we're gonna drop another menti.com link, and I would like to ask you to maybe just real fast, wherever you are, or wherever you feel like you are in your ka'au, please write it into the generator. Okay? Hikino, we'll take 1-2 minutes real fast. And just to add to that, if you feel like you are in between and you're transitioning between different stages of your own ka'au or your own journey, feel free to put that in there too. Awesome sauce, mahalo. Okay, so actually similar to the first session, a lot of you folks are saying that you are in your huakaʻi stage, and it's kind of my kind of my favorite stage. Not really. It's a real 50-50 because there is a lot that can happen throughout the huakaʻi. But as I mentioned before, within the one huakaʻi segment, there can be a lot of little mini ka'aus happening every day, which it is, because it's every other day. You're not going to be the same as you from today that you are tomorrow. So that's beautiful. There could be a lot of people in between the ha'alele into the huakaʻi, and similar with huakaʻi into ho'ina, like you're coming to a closing of your journey, wherever you are. So why, aloha, mahalo nui loia oko. So why am I asking you guys, who is Hiʻiaka and where you are in the journey? I don't know, but I'm going to try tell you. So, so why Ola Ka Huakaʻihele o Hiʻiaka? And this loosely translate to becoming Hiʻiaka. Why am I telling you the story about a Hiʻiaka? Pele specifically. Why did I choose that myth to name in honor of her, of this project? Why am I telling you about the foundational ka'au frameworks and asking you where your journey is? As I actually don't know what you guys do, but I'm going to assume that you're in a healthcare profession, or just even caring about health. So what is a huakaʻi? Bam. It's a trip. It's a voyage. It's a journey. It's a literal huakaʻi. A mission, a procession, a parade to travel. Hiʻiaka went on every one of these. Who is Hiʻiaka? Like you guys said, she is life. She is a sister. She is regeneration. She is the younger sister of Pele. She is transformation. The first part of the name of 12 younger sisters of the goddess Pele. The youngest and the most famous was Hiʻiakaikapoliopele. She is also a rare variety of kalo. I want to try that. Used in medicine. I didn't mention that part in the first one because I just stopped reading. But now that I see it again, that's why I put it in there. She is a variety of sweet potato. Gotta try that one too. And just a little disclaimer. Me and Auntie Lahela went a little bit over time, so I'm gonna assume that we're gonna go a little bit over time again. Hikino? And lastly, the creator of Hawaii named Pele's many sisters called Hiʻiaka, the most famous being Hiʻiakaikapoliopele, Hiʻiaka in the bosom of Pele, who journeyed to Kauaʻi to fetch Pele's dream lover, Lohiʻau. So we talked about that. So it's a quick visit. I knew these things prior to doing this presentation. Also, if you just take a quick visit to Vehe Viki Viki, provided by all translations of all Hawaii dictionaries, you're going to find these. So it's as easy as Googling. So today's special guest speaker, his name is Kekuhi Kealiʻikanakaʻole Kealiʻikanakaʻoleohaililani. She was trained in the tradition of hula aiha'a and hula Pele chant ritual for over 35 years under Halau o Kekuhi, and has graduated as a kumuhula in 2008. She received her bachelor's in Hawaiian studies, master's degree in professional development and education. She's a doctorate candidate. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste my time, but this is all who she is. All of those things. So, aloha mai Kekuhi. Thank you for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience? I mean, no need if you know, like, up to
No,
you.
I don't like to.
Raj, you can find her online at her website, lonawahonua.com. Is it kekuhi.com or lonawahonua?
No, it's HTTP. I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay, she's gonna drop who she is in the chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I have like 15 minutes, yeah? That
Yeah.
that was great. Yeah, it's okay. It's great. That's perfect. In fact, 10 minutes might even do the trick. Because what my assumption is that this is like a really brief like introduction to what the Ola Ka Huakaʻihele o Hiʻiaka is all about. And you're gonna type that really long thing I just said in the chat. Ola.
I can, but
Yeah.
I did want to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Q&A. We can go Q&A. That's good.
Yeah, real fast. Just
Yeah.
however you would like to share your insight or give us a glimpse into your lens as a hula master, a hula practitioner, a CEO of a Hawaii and Hawaii lifestyles driven company. Yeah, Raj, all of those things. How do you think or know the Huakaʻihele or Hiʻiaka transformative process will inform the health and well-being of providers and providers like some of us in this room, like yourself, and to patients like myself?
Oh, that was for me. Oh, I thought that was like homework for everybody. Sorry, I just
No,
got
this is for you.
All right. Ooh, hey, this question is loaded. What Auntie Lahelas did? I could borrow her answer.
She actually gave us a brief insight into her ka'au. That's pretty much what she did. She started at her hua, told us about her huaka'i, and then where she is in her ho'ina, and like that.
Yeah.
And then gave us some insight into how she uses ka'au for work and her vocation and profession. Yeah.
I'm afraid that'll get really complex if I start talking about that.
Okay.
So what I what I know is one of the outcomes of the, so we're calling the Huakaʻihele o Hiʻiaka a transformative process. It's really the Huaka'i process. So you saw the amount of frameworks that need to get transposed one on top of the other, right? The SAMHSA and the 12 points and the Ahupuaʻa hopefully wants to be like this on the top. And then there's Ka'au frameworks, and then I have another Ka'au framework that actually looks at different parts of yourself. There's this Ka'au framework that Kauila introduced that my husband is actually the curator of. And UH Hilo and the system is actually using this framework as a means to answer the questions for number one, for students in how do we get our students into leadership positions, and to answer the question to everyone else in the system, where are you in your journey and how did you get here? When I introduce the process of the Huaka'i, I add to it a short process called the Ahi, in which we really started to look at the keys, which are which evolve out of every human being's experienced embodied experiences and resonant experiences. So now we're really getting into something that sounds more like quantum physics than something that actually sounds like Hawaii life ways, but hang with me. So when we actually begin to dive into the Huaka'i, and when I say dive is we're not just doing a conceptual thing of the Huaka'i. The goal is to actually live the Huaka'i. So we all live our lives now, and what helps us sort of figure out where we've been, what we need to get rid of, what we want in the present moment, where we're going, what we need to add, or what we need to shed. That the Ka'au process that Kauila introduces to you, like, answers all of those questions. what I would like to put forward is that the ka'au process that accompanies the huakaʻi, or the actual journey, like we get out of our seats and we get on the plane or a canoe, whichever you're ready for, and then we prepare ourselves mentally and in Hawaii life ways, the singing, the chanting, the hula, the arts, the creation, and really making a safe space for that. That's what I'm known for. Really making a safe space for everyone, from the scientist to the technician, from the ritualist to the hula dancer, from the old Hawaiian lady who had to move to the mainland in 1945 to the to the activist young Hawaiian male person. All of those people are all in the space. And what I've learned from them, and I can only tell you that the transformative process works because what I've learned from them, and which is also another part of the 5H ka'au process that Kauila shared with you. Because if you're gonna ho'i to anything, right? If you're gonna experience your hua, your ha'alele, your huakaʻi, and you want to reintegrate, the questions you need to start to ask yourself in part of your reintegration is how do I bring the information, the experience, the embodiment, negative or positive, beneficial or not beneficial, into my community. That's part of the ho'ina ha'ina process. Yeah. Okay. So then what I propose is that the huakaʻihele brings us all in this process in a safe space. That the actual name of Hiʻiaka, to hi'i, to cherish, like this, not like, ooh, I cherish my phone. If I drop it, I'm gonna cry. That's how much I cherish my phone. Not like that kind of cherish, you guys. Like cherish. Kauila's going, what? I mean, cherish, like grabbing something your kahu made you, or something your grandmother made you, like a blanket or super ugly crochet hat or something like that, and smelling it and smelling them and holding. Where do you hold that thing first? You hold it to your chest. That is a natural human response, that when we're in trauma or when we are cherishing something. Interesting, yeah? Those two responses we think are two opposite spectrums of the emotional scale, but they're not. So when you're cherishing that item, that's what it means to hi'i. Okay? When you're holding something close to you, like holding like holding your kauila, or your partner, or your lehua, or to hi'i is to hold that really close to your and where do you hold it? You don't bring it down to your umbilical cord, your piko, or you don't take it up to your left ear. You go, ooh, I really cherish this, and you hold it up to your left ear. Well, that's funny kind. Yeah. Kauila, is the webinar only on the picture? Is the webinar on me and the picture? Or to take the webinar, you need to do gallery. Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter because I'm almost pop. So to cherish something, the automatic reaction, and nobody had to teach us this. This came with the fluids and didn't only came through the DNA reactions of all of our ancestors before us. So not just the ancestors that you can actually name in your moʻo kuʻauhau 180 generations back, not just those guys, like a gazillion more of those guys. So to cherish something in that way, to hi'i it, and then aka, the name aka, aka is your shadow. What? Say it again. What? Aka is your shadow. Okay. Aka is, yeah, the one that you see on the ground at 12 noon, right in line with your body, or the one you see pointing out at 3 o'clock, that one. It's also, the Aka is also your reflection. Wait for it, wait for it. The Aka is also the mirror. So you might say, oh, but the reflection is the mirror. No, 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 no. The reflection may occur in the mirror, but doesn't only occur in the mirror. Okay? So what does that even mean? So in a huakaʻi, you hua, you kaʻi. Kaʻi means to walk together, walk as if in a parade. Look that up. Kaʻi means to go all together. It's this movement. It's a movement. To the hua kaʻi. What is hua? The hua, or it could be hua. That is how many. That is to experience that movement over and over and over again. Okay, many times, which is great. Because if we only had one time, yeah, everybody say, we only get one chance. That's according to Hawaii story form, and according to most of the ka'au or mythologies across the world, nobody ever huaka'is only once. All right. So then we get on this trip, we go across the world. Of course, we prepared in some way in a space that cherishes, that he is every single person's aka. But during the huaka'i, guess what? You get to experience your aka in other places, in other communities, with other people you have no relationship to. And using the building blocks of the Ka'au 5H framework and the Ki'i framework I'm going to teach, and then using also the actual preparation and movement and carrying through different spaces and meeting all of your reflections in every single one of those spaces, in every forest, in every bird, in every rock, in every ocean. Oh my gosh. You're going to say, what the Haagen-Dazs is this all about? And that's the magic right there. That's the transformative process. But the thing is, you got to be able to ask yourself the question, because it's no longer transformative if we just go on an echo tour, okay? gotta walk through the hard stuff. Nobody ever, there's no, I'm going to say it again because we study this stuff. There is no story of length and breadth and depth in the world that doesn't give you a big fat traumatic experience. Every story has their huge traumas, and then there is a comeback at some point, and some stories end back in the trauma, some stories end in the high. Now that all depends. But the journeying process allows us to transform how we think about those experiences. And that's why we say Ola Ka Hiʻiaka, Ola Ka Huakaʻi. The huakaʻi is given life to by the processes that we have access to, because we know, because we've studied them long enough, because we experience them all the time. So I suppose that's all I'm going to say. I didn't actually answer the question, but that sounded good. And if you're recording this, you can go back and listen to it and say, she's full of it, or say, there's something in there. And we hope that you are considering jumping into the huakaʻi process when we're ready to launch that. Okay, thank you, Kat. Thank you, Lilinoe. Thank you, Kauila.
Mahalo nui loa, Kekuhi. Thanks, ma. Bench. So, just to bring it back around, what does this experience, or what does the Ola Ka Huakaʻihele have to do? Why am I talking about it? Well, listen, it was in the objectives in the beginning to remind you, this is what it sounds like. Participants will see by implementing a high quality program such as the Huakaʻihele that is directly recovery oriented, trauma informed, and equity based as a means of improving behavioral health and overall well-being, guided by the clinical expertise of Auntie Lahela Cruz and a Native Hawaiian social worker, and by the cultural practices and scientific lens of Kekuhi Kealiʻikanakaʻoleohaililani, also a cultural practitioner, that we gonna make things better. Nah. That you will be able to experience all of those things that she just described, anything that happens within Hiʻiaka's journey. You're not looking at the myth of Hiʻiaka, you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your aka. It's a journey, a huakaʻi inward. I mean, we're going places like on a plane into another island, but we're going there for you, look in here. That's what this program is about. That's what is needed for me. I know this process works because I went through it. Auntie Lahela was my hua. My mom was my ha'alele and huaka'i and ha'ina. And this space that I'm in, along with this lab, is my ha'ina. This is my give back. If we can just help one kanaka out there, one po'e o ka moana nui ake Asian Pacific Islander, then I think the ha'ina was worth pushing for. Anyway, so when you talk about, when my mom was talking about nobody when achieve nothing without big trauma happening. And to close out this entire session, this is my ho'ina and ha'ina, ultimately my panina to this webinar series, 2 parts. Mahalo ya Auntie Lahela, mahalo to Kekuhi, mahalo to the lab, Papa Ololokahi, the Center of Excellence, mahalo everybody who attended, and this will be recorded and sent out to you, but here is my ha'ina. Mahalo for coming.
That she helped pick me up when I was really in a really dark space and I was trying to get clean. And a lot of people don't know that about me. And I'm going through this project right now where there's so much pressure to like match this level of success and like overness to the world and to my community and to my family. And I just like broke down at a fucking stoplight and just started bawling. And like I just feel like a failure all the time.
Awila Nui. Between the ears, a profound album of images and symbols, exuding permanence, results of the past culminating never. When presented, the question of its origin is not important. It exists. When discovered, was valued and admired. From the wisp of the winds, the essence of your soul.
No, that was a little heavy. Anyway, please, we're gonna drop these links. Mahalo for coming today. Again, mahalo to all those people I said mahalo to earlier. I forget in which order and whoever's. But please, if you wouldn't mind taking 2-3 minutes of your time to fill out these evaluation surveys,